Hey everyone, this is Scott from the Scott to Grow Podcast. Welcome to our American Gods Season 2, Episode 2 Thoughts video. I just finished watching Episode 2, The Beguiling Man, where we see promising vengeance for the death of a beloved old god. Mr. Wednesday begins preparation for a great battle. Meanwhile, Laura and Mad Sweetie chase Shadow's diminishing light. Shadow encounters an associate of Mr. World. So yeah, I just finished watching this episode and I really enjoyed it. It did have a little bit of a de-escalation on the action in this one based off of like the first episode. Like to this one, it kind of de-escalated a little bit. There was a lot going on in the first one. This one was a lot of character building. We learned a lot about all the different characters in this, except for, you know, the gods. We learned about like the main, like, we learned a lot about Shadow. We got a little bit about his backstory, which was interesting. It was kind of interesting to see that apparently he grew up like traveling the world and then, you know, end up in America, and he did not get along with some people in the neighborhood is the nicest way to put it. And so, yeah, you see a little bit of that. That part was tough because it's a very emotional thing, but I thought they did a great job of getting that emotion out of me. I don't generally watch things that make me emotional in that way. I generally go for the stuff that makes me excited, but it was still interesting to see, learn a little bit more about Shadow, learn a little bit about why it is Wednesday picked him. That's, well, at least why they're torturing him. They're trying to learn that. I've always kind of, in my mind, it was always because Shadow had once believed in things when his mother was alive, and then when his mother died, he stopped believing in things. So therefore, he doesn't believe in anything at this point, but he has the capacity to believe in something. And that's why I always thought Wednesday chose him, because he both doesn't believe in anything, so therefore he could believe, you know, you can convince him of anything, but he also has the, you know, the past that shows that he has believed in stuff. He has the capacity to believe in something. It's just when Wednesday finds him, he doesn't believe in anything. So that's how I always thought about it. But apparently the new gods think it's something else. I think it's a little bit more than that. But at the same time, my explanation does kind of make it seem like it could just been anybody. What's so special about Shadow necessarily? So that part seems to be a little like who gave him that coin? It seemed like it could have been like Wednesday, but it was also that was not Wednesday's voice, I'm fairly certain. But at the same time, Wednesday, we also learned in the last like couple episodes, well, the first episode and the last episode of the last season, that he had sacrificed himself for that. Being Wednesday, Odin had sacrificed his own self before, so it's possible that he was, and then he had sacrificed himself in between when he gave Shadow the coin and when he's met Shadow again and when we met him. But who knows? We'll learn about this throughout the season. But I still really enjoyed that. We get a little bit of backstory, a little bit of information on Shadow. We get introduced to Mr. Town in this episode, which he definitely just works for Mr. World, it seems. Last video I talked about who's the boss of who, because I mean, yes, the world is a bigger place, and you'd think the world would then be the town boss, but I was also like, well, my town personally affects me more than a lot of the world politics, but that really doesn't apply to the show whatsoever. But we did meet Mr. Town. He was an interesting character. He got his ass kicked by Laura pretty quickly, it seemed. Well, she did throw a door at him, but I don't know. It seems like if he's a new god, he should be able to handle a door, but we'll see if he's still around. What are some other cool things about this episode? Oh, we get Wednesday and Mr. Nancy on a road trip, which was just fun little couple scenes. We barely saw them in this episode, but at the end of this episode, it all leads up to Wednesday sacrificing his car. That's where I have to say sacrificing, because this is gods we're dealing with, and his car was actually his horse, I guess, but the new incarnation of his horse. So he sacrificed it so that it could come back in another form, I guess. It's a whole lot of just religious / mythological stuff that's going on, and I freaking love it. And I'm just like, yeah, sacrifice your caddy to the train. That makes sense. But then we see, you know, as it explodes, we see in Odin's eye the horse running at it, and that's the end of the episode. So that was just really, really cool. I really enjoyed that little thing. I'm very curious to see what it's going to come back as. Is he going to get another car? Is it going to be a new caddy? Is it going to be a different thing? Very curious to see about that. But the last thing I had written down was just that we also see in this episode that Technical Boy was looking for media. He does pull the I am, you know, binary code, you know, card on media, which, you know, is a fair point. Media did exist before, I would assume, Technological Boy. I had assumed it before, but he also mentioned that he was the Compass Rose. So I'm like, oh, that's true. There is different bits of technology that he could have evolved from before. So I'd always thought him very narrow-mindedly as just electronic, the digital side of technology. But the fact that we learned in this episode that he's he started off as the Compass Rose, so it's hard to say whether him or Media are the older one. But he does pull the he is still looking for Media. I think what happened was that Gillian Anderson wanted a bigger paycheck to come back for this season, and they didn't want to give it to her, and so they decided to go this route. But maybe that's just my theory. I don't know if she's supposed to pop up later, if they're just having a little fun with it. It's hard to say. I do believe there's a character to be introduced in this season called New Media, so that'll be interesting to see as well. But that was still a fun scene to see, him having arguments with advertisements in Times Square. That was just kind of fun. But the fact that we didn't see Gillian Anderson or her, I hope that's her name. I probably just screwed it up a couple times. But the fact we didn't hear her voice, the actress who played Media in the first season, whose name I'm not 100% sure if I got it right now. Yeah, but you didn't hear her voice being used in any of the clips they use, so that makes me suspect that she's not going to be in this season. But maybe I should have looked that up before I made this video. But anyways, that's all my thoughts for this episode. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you liked about episode 2 of season 2 of American Gods. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Have a good one.